Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer 55551, and I am back with a My 2 Cent video for this week, for the week of April 13th and the 19th of 2025, where I take a look at a couple of stories that caught my attention and give you my thoughts and my opinions on them. And we got 4 stories to cover, including the update to the Xbox, which is a very interesting update that Microsoft has put out. We now officially have the pre-orders for the Nintendo Switch 2, and I will say, based on the announcement that Nintendo put out, I will say I am kind of mixed to some extent in some of this announcements. They're both good and bad to it. It seems, at least according to Matt Piscatella, if I'm saying this incorrectly, it seems that Assassin's Creed Shadow is off to a pretty good start, and Ubisoft made a comment that, well, let's just say it brings up a whole lot of issues, especially with the all digital future and everything. If you're interested in where I got the source of this information, links will be in the description down below. And of course, excuse me, of course, timestamps will also be there as well if you're watching this on YouTube or on Patreon as well. But before we get started, we'll get started with the quick My 2 Cent stories that kind of caught my attention, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of details though. The first one has to do with the fact that we had a Nintendo Direct this week. It was the Mario Kart World Direct though. It was around 16 minutes long, and honestly, I feel like this would have been better off saved as an overview trailer than basically a actual Direct. I feel like they didn't offer anything new that we haven't heard before, maybe during, Nintendo Switch 2's Direct and the presentation, during the Treehouse presentation that they showed. So I feel like a lot of people feel like this Direct was unnecessary, and I kind of have to agree with it. I just feel like it was just unnecessary. At least that's how I'm seeing it, though. We also learned that the former president of Sony basically weighed in with the Switch 2, and his argument seems to be that Nintendo is losing its identity and is focusing on power and all. And there's some debate back and forth, with some people agreeing or disagreeing with them, though. My view is I'm not 100% sure Nintendo is completely losing their identity, as they have done something similar to this before, when we went from the NES to the Super NES to, the Game Boy to the Game Boy Color to the Game Boy Advance. We went from the DS to the Nintendo 3DS, though. So I wouldn't go out of my way to say they completely are losing their identity entirely, though. But it is certainly debatable, depending on whether you agree with his view or not, though. We do also have some confirmation to some degree with the whole Switch 2 edition of everything being on the card and all. And there's been some reports, and it seems to be there's some both good news and bad news, though. Good news is that I think a lot of the stuff will be available on the cart, though. That means, the whole game and everything. But there has been reports that some like the DLCs are not going to be in it, though, which I can see why not everyone is upset, why some people may not be happy about that. The whole cloud saving situation, which I'll get to on there as well. So it's sort of a mixed response to this information, indeed, though. So yes, it's great that the entire game will be on the game cart, but I can understand why not everybody will be happy with the idea, the fact that for the DLCs, you may have to purchase that again if you haven't already purchased them. Indeed, though, we also learned that basically from CD Projekt Red, we learned that right now they are focusing on Cyberpunk 2077, particularly for the Switch 2. But so far, there's been questions asked whether the Switch version of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt will get a update or not, though. For now, it seems like they're giving sort of a coy response, though. But, I wouldn't be surprised at some point if Witcher 3, the Switch version, does get an update and all. Whether or not that happens remains to be seen. Remember, Cyberpunk 2077 on the Switch is being handled by CD Projekt Red, while Saber Interactive was the one handling the Switch version of Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. But we've seen some updates to Witcher 3 Wild Hunt in the past from Saber Interactive, so I certainly won't rule out the possibility we could see a update for Witcher 3 Wild Hunt for the Switch being played on the Switch 2, maybe get it at 60 frames per second, maybe update the visuals. That's a possibility, but time will ultimately tell, though. Continuing with CD Projekt Red, they are warning out that those who are getting these beta test invites for the upcoming Witcher 4, it turns out to be that information is false, that it's not necessarily true, according to CD Projekt Red and all. So if you're getting that information, you are getting an email on it, you might want to be very careful, because at least according to what CD Projekt Red is saying, that information is incorrect. We're also learning that Phil Spencer is a big supporter or big believer in Nintendo, and is certainly showing support for the Switch 2. Obviously, we know the direction Microsoft has been going lately, so clearly they want to put more games on the Switch. There's games on the Switch 2 and everything like that. Whether or not this means we'll get Doom, the Dark Ages, or Indiana Jones and all, we don't know. I mean, there's a very good chance it might make its way over, but we'll have to wait and see to be exact. And if it is, it remains to be seen if they are the ones the studios out there are going to develop it, or if it's going to be from like a port house or anything like that, like what we saw when Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal were ported over to the Nintendo to Switch 1, but was handled by Panic Button, which was a port house. So we'll see what happens and all. We're also learning that Bethesda reportedly has more than one remaster in the works. There have been some rumors going around the possibility that obviously we are learning about Oblivion, and then we might hear something next week. That's a possibility, but there have been some indications of the possibility that Fallout 3 could get the remake treatment and everything like that. I do think a lot of that, I feel like, will be based off of how the people respond to Oblivion and remake, and whether or not it's positive or negative, or how well it does. I mean, if it does do well, though, I could see them remaking maybe Fallout 3, possibly Fallout New Vegas. I mean, that is a possibility, to be exact, though. So time will ultimately tell, and we'll have to wait and see. And finally, as I mentioned before, there are reports coming out that the Switch 2 edition of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, the rumors are going around that it may not support cloud save and all. Now, I'm not sure what it would be like if you could supposedly transfer your data from the Switch 1 to the Switch 2. I think you could still do that. I think we've seen that before happen in the past with, those who purchase a 3DS and switch it over to the new 3DS and everything. So it's possible that will happen, but cloud save, I can see why some people may not be happy about that. So we'll have to wait and see and hear from Nintendo, but clearly there's some information Nintendo has not sort of clarified yet, and I think they need to do a better job with that and all. And in the movie and TV show of the Quick My 2 Cent, we have 3 new trailers that were shown off this week, though. The first one has to do with the official trailer for the Fantastic Four First Step, though. I do like the look to what they are going with the Fantastic Four and everything. You have that retro, I think 1950s, 1960s look to it, to be exact, though. And this is one I'm definitely looking forward to seeing, though. Supposedly there will be an Avengers Doomsday, but I'm curious to see how that is all going to play out and everything like that. And of course, I'm definitely a fan of Pedro Pascal. I think he did a great job in The Mandalorian. I enjoyed him playing Joel in HBO or HBO Max, The Last of Us. I'm currently watching season 2 at this time, so I'm curious to see how he will portray Richard Reed, if I'm saying the name correctly at all. We also have the final trailer for the Thunderbolt movie. This one looks kind of interesting. It does seem a little bit dark and all, but I am very curious to see how this one is going to play out and everything. So this one should be interesting and all. And of course, we have a second trailer for the upcoming 28 Years Later. I'm not a big zombie or horror fan or anything like that, but I am very curious about this one, though. It is certainly interesting. They decided to do 28 years, not maybe 28 months later and everything, but nevertheless, it's going to be very interesting to see how this film plays out. We also learned that the Minecraft movie basically continues to do well, as it was last reported that it cleared the $550 million at the box office. Again, I'm not a Minecraft fan or anything like that, but obviously there is an audience for that. There are people who like that and everything. And you know what? If you do enjoy it, good for you and everything. It's just not my type of film or anything like that. But hey, there's an audience. People are watching it. I know the reviews have been mixed, or at least mixed, at least as far as I'm hurt, at least as far as what I've been hearing. But still, there's an audience for it though. And last but not least, and this is more on the sports side, for those who watch, ESPN's College Game Day and everything like that, one of the famous person, I think his name's Lee Corso, he's been on that network for quite some time on ESPN, and one of the most famous things is him saying catchphrases like "not so fast," to him putting on the mask of basically, the college mascots teams when they're picking up who they think they're going to win. Unfortunately, it looks like he is retiring, basically, I believe in August. He is about 90 years old and everything like that. I will admit, I've turned on ESPN's College Game Day here and there at sometimes, and it sort of becomes sort of like that symbol, like that thing with him, putting that mask and everything, giving their analysis though. But it's going to be tough though. It is though. So we'll have to see how College Day Game will go forward when he is basically, Lee Corso steps down and everything like that. It's almost kind of similar to how I felt when, when Stan Lee was not there following, Avengers, Endgame and everything like that. His last cameo before he passed away in that movie and everything. So it's kind of tough. It's kind of similar like that though. So it's kind of tough though, but. We'll see what happens going forward with College Game Day without Lee Corso and all. Okay, with the Quick My 2 Cent part now done, along with the movie and TV show part of the Quick My 2 Cent, we'll get started with our first story, and this one has to do with a lawsuit Ubisoft is facing over the crew and all. Now, one of the things we've been hearing is we've been seeing the push for a all-digital future and everything like that. And I won't deny that we are eventually going to head down that road at some point as we seem to be getting closer. But there has been some arguments and some people who don't like that, particularly of do you own the rights of some of these games that you purchase and everything like that. This is also very true with a lot of these games that do offer, it has to be like always online or stuff like that though. And recently it was announced that Ubisoft was shutting down basically the crew, supposedly, and now apparently they are responding to a lawsuit filed by, I believe, 2 video game players over this claim and everything like that. And Ubisoft's comment that they recently made about this, though, unfortunately, I feel like this just adds more to why people are not a big fan of the all-digital future, but also not maybe a big fan of the idea of the always online kind of approach and everything like that. From an article from Video Game Chronicles, there we go. It reads though, Ubisoft is attempting to get the lawsuit thrown out, arguing that players should never expect to own the online always game indefinitely, even if they purchase a physical copy. Frustrated with Ubisoft's recent decision to retire the game following a notice period deadline on the product's package, plaintiff applied a kitchen sink approach on the behalf of the class of nationwide consumers, alleging 8 causes of action, including violation of California's false advertisement law, unfair competition law, and consumers' legal remedy acts, as well as common law fraud and breach of warranty claim, Ubisoft's lawyers wrote. Ubisoft claims that the players should have no expectation that they were purchasing unfettered ownership rights in the game. So, in other words, Ubisoft is basically making the claim, at least this is how I'm seeing it, and some folks out there are saying you don't own the rights to this game and everything like that, which I can see why not everybody's a fan of that argument, though. The fact that there's claiming you don't own the rights is, it's not going to sit very well, especially if it's an always online game. And what makes this more interesting is that we've seen games that have always been always online, but somehow have started to offer a offline mode and all. Redfall is one good example. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is another example. I know those games didn't get the best response out there, but those are certainly some examples of games that were basically did have an offline mode and everything like that. And the idea that Ubisoft isn't at least offering an offline mode, or at least from what I understand they did with the Crew 2 following some backlash, is a little bit ridiculous though. And this claim that you don't own the game and everything like that, that just adds more to the whole argument against the all-digital future, especially if you're spending your hard-earned money and you want to buy this game and everything like that digitally, but then they decide to pull the plug and there goes all your money and everything like that, especially if they choose not to offer a refund or something like that as well. So it's a very, very, I would say, a dumb argument for Ubisoft to make, at least how I'm seeing it though, and it just adds more to basically why not everybody's on board with the all digital or always online approach for video games and everything like that. So overall, it'll be interesting to see how far this lawsuit goes, but I will say I do not 100% share Ubisoft's view on this. At least that's how I'm looking at it though. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2. And this one has to do with reports coming out about Assassin's Creed Shadow, and that it might be doing very well, at least according to one analyst. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my Mind You Said video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at basically Assassin's Creed Shadows, and supposedly, if this report from Matt Piscatella is correct, or what he said though, it sounds like Assassin's Creed Shadow may have done very well for Ubisoft and all. Now, Assassin's Creed Shadow kind of has been in the spotlight for many reasons though. Some of it has to do with the current situation Ubisoft is in right now. Others have been, some of the controversy over some of the decisions making for the game in terms of some of the historical accuracy, although there were those out there who unfortunately played the DEI woke card for no apparent reason. And I stand behind it. I think that card is absolutely ridiculous that there are those who would play that card on a daily basis though. But it also was originally supposed to come out last year during the holidays, but got delayed due to the fallout from Star Wars Outlaw, which didn't exactly do very well for Ubisoft. And then it originally was pushed from its February to March date, to be exact though. And there were questions of whether or not how well is the game, or whether or not the game would do well at all though. Well, according to Matt Piscatella, it seems as though the game may have actually done very well indeed. According to a statement he wrote on BlueSky, this is what he had to say. Quote, "Here's a fun one. Assassin's Creed Shadow has been the best-selling video game in the US for each of its first 3 weeks in marketing, according to Satana Retail Tracking Service. Dollar sales, latest data through April 5th. Currently ranked number 2 year-to-date, trailing only Monster Hunter Wilds though." Now, assuming what Matt Piscatella is saying is correct, and given his history and everything like that, I'm more inclined to believe what he has to say though. It does seem to indicate that despite some of the controversy surrounding the game, Assassin's Creed Shadow seems to be doing very well for Ubisoft or not, and so forth. And I'm very curious to see where it would rank in the Satana charts, to be exact. Did it rank high enough? Did it not do high enough? So there's certainly some questions that will need to be asked in terms of where it did rank in everything though. The question is whether or not this game would basically help Ubisoft or not though, because we know that Ubisoft is sort of in an odd position. To be exact though, there have been some questionable decision management has made that kind of put them in a very bad spot. Although recently, supposedly there's been reports that they worked something out with Tencent, and basically they're doing a subsidy or a different company to deal with, or something like that, with Assassin's Creed in general and other IPs though. So it's going to be very interesting if this game did well enough to give Ubisoft a shot in the arm that they really need and all. So Again, if what Matt Piscatella is saying is correct, then that's got to be good news for Ubisoft. Indeed, though, but it remains to be seen if it's enough to help Ubisoft or whether or not this is something that or the shot in the arm that this is what they really needed, though. So overall, very interesting what Matt Piscatella is saying, though. And if what he's saying is correct, then it's possible this could be the boost Ubisoft needed, and Assassin's Creed Shadow could be the thing Ubisoft needed in terms of doing well and all. Hopefully it does well enough that it convinced Ubisoft to maybe take a step back and reevaluate how they do things in terms of developing games going forward and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 3, and this one has to do with pre-orders for the Nintendo Switch, as we now have a date on when they are officially going to go live and all. So we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of my Might You Sent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at the situation surrounding the Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders, particularly here in the US and in Canada. Now, as some of you are aware, though, originally Nintendo of America were planning to put pre-orders up for the Switch 2 on April 9th. However, due to the economic uncertainty, including the whole situation surrounding the tariffs, this basically forced Nintendo to sort of delay the situation and reevaluate how this was going to play out. And for US and even Canada Nintendo fans, there were some concerns. Some of that concern was the price for some of this stuff was going to go up. There was even whispers of the possibility that it could be from $450 to possibly $500 or even more, to be exact, because of a lot of the tariffs and the uncertainty with the economy and everything like that. Well, Nintendo came out on Friday, though, as this video will be up on Saturday, and it turns out to be there's both good news and bad news from this, though. And so I will say that there's certainly, like I said, there's certainly some positive to this, but depending on how you look at this, though, this either is either a positive or negative. Now, this is from Nintendo's own official website, and this is what they had to say, and I quote, "Retail pre-orders for the Nintendo Switch 2 will begin on April 24th, 2025. At launch, the price for the Nintendo Switch 2 in the US will remain as announced on April 2nd at $449.99, or at least $450, and the Nintendo Switch 2 plus Mario Kart bundle will remain announced at $499.99, $500 to be exact. Pricing for both the physical and digital version of Mario Kart World, $79.99, base or $80, and Donkey Kong Bonanza, $69.99, $70 exact, will remain unchanged at launch. However, Nintendo Switch accessories will experience a price adjustment for those announced on April 2nd due to the change in the market condition. Other adjustments to price of any Nintendo products are also possible in the future depending on market conditions. We apologize for the retail pre-order delay and hope this reduced some of the uncertainty customers may have experienced. We thank our customers for their patience, and we share the excitement to experience Nintendo Switch 2 starting June 5th, June 5th, 2025. So, like I said, I'm sort of mixed in this announcement, though. On one hand, I think it's great that we are seeing basically that the console will remain the same price that it was originally announced. You know, the one without the Mario Kart bundle at $450 when it was originally announced. I think that's good. And the games, though, both physically and digitally, will remain the same as well. So I think that is absolutely good. I'm glad Nintendo was able to figure that part out, or at the very least. But on the other hand, the other side of the coin on this, though, is unfortunately, it seems it came at the cost with the accessories, though, which according to what Nintendo Life had to show, one example is the Switch 2 Pro controller was originally $74.99, now that's up to $84.99, to the Nintendo Switch 2 dock set, which was $109.99, has now moved up to $119.99, though. The Samsung Micro SD Card Express 256 gigabyte was $54.99 to $59.99. So a Nintendo Switch AC adapter was $29.99 to $34.99. So unfortunately, it seems that there's going to be the accessory parts are seeing basically are going to see a price increase, and depending on which accessories you're trying to get, though, that may or may not. That could hinder it whether you want to pick this up on launch day or not, or whether you just want to not pick them up at all, though. I think because of the tariffs and the economic uncertainty, though, I am a little bit concerned that although the price has not changed now for the Switch 2 and everything, there is that concern that somewhere down the road, there is a possibility that could change, though. I mean, especially for those who may choose that they do plan to get a Switch 2 but doesn't want to get it at launch, or those who might be waiting to see if there is during the holidays or when a Black Friday deal might pop up, though. There is a concern, the possibility that there is a chance that when that comes around, the price of the system could go up and everything like that. Again, pointing to tariffs and the uncertainty in the economic market or the global economy, to be exact. Now, I could be wrong on that, and it is possible between now and when the holidays or going forward, the price still stays the same for the Switch 2. It's still $450 when it was at launch, and it doesn't change at all. So there is that possibility that we may not see a price increase at all, but at the same time, I cannot rule out the possibility that a price increase could happen. And again, as I said this before, the tariffs and the uncertainty in the economy could definitely make that happen and everything. But time will ultimately tell, and we'll have to wait and see how this all plays out. So overall, I would say it's good news, but also mixed news at the same time. Great that the price point for the Switch console and the games remain the same. Great that we now have the official pre-order date, at least in the US, and I believe in Canada as well. But at the same time, disappointing to hear that the accessories are the ones that are taking the hit, and we'll get a price increase on those. Whether or not you think some of these accessories are worth it or not, that's going to be your call on that one. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 4, and this one has to do with an update for the Xbox system that Microsoft has officially released and all. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our fourth and final part of our My 2 Cent video. Excuse me. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at an update that Microsoft has put out for the Xbox system or Xbox ecosystem or consoles and everything like that. So we've been seeing Microsoft sort of push, the idea of playing Xbox everywhere to basically offering some updates and some different approaches ranging from streaming your games from other systems and everything like that. And some of these updates are kind of interesting. Some of them I kind of have kind of passed on, to be exact. Well, recently Microsoft has put up a new update though, and I will say some of these I thought are kind of interesting and kind of neat that they added them in. Again, not all of this update that Microsoft has put out is going to appeal to everybody though, but I will say some of these look very interesting or very unique indeed though. Now, according to Microsoft, that they put up on what is basically called their Xbox Wire, they offer, Xbox April update. Buy games from the Xbox app on mobile, stream your own games on consoles, and more though. On the Xbox app on mobile, this is what they had to say. Quote, "We're excited to announce that one of the most requested features for the Xbox community is coming to the Xbox app. Players will soon be able to buy games and add-on content, join Game Pass, and redeem perks directly from the Xbox app on mobile. Be ready to play on day one by pre-ordering games like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4, and then set it to pre-install on the Xbox console from the app. Buy games like Assassin's Creed Shadow and MLB The Show 25. Players will be able to join Game Pass directly from the Xbox app. Ultimate members can redeem perks like the Sea of Thieves 7th serving emote, directly to the app though. This experience will start rolling out for beta users on iOS and Android and will be available soon for everyone on Google Store and on Android devices and the Apple Store. If players already have a saved form of payment, the Xbox app will display a buy button on the game's details page, allowing them to purchase games and add-on content with just 2 clicks. The new one is now they have stream your own games now on the Xbox console though. Now, there have been some ways you could technically stream your games here and there, but this seems to be Microsoft's officially you can now stream it for good and everything. So according to them, this is what they have to say. Quote, starting today, Game Pass Ultimate members can now stream selected games they own in addition to Game Pass categories on their Xbox Series X and S and Xbox One console. This will broaden the previously announced device for November that included Samsung Smart TVs, Amazon Fire TV devices, and MetaQuest headsets, as well as other browsers supporting devices like PC, smartphone, and tablets. Members can save time and hard drive space and play their games immediately without the need to download and install them first, which, again, that can be good or bad, but there's been some questions about the streaming that Microsoft has done, though. And again, a lot of this will be based off of, how solid is your internet connection, whether it's, Wi-Fi or, plugged into the wall or something. So some of that will vary based on your internet connection and everything like that, though. They also talked about how you could stream your own games, over 100 plus games. They recently talked about adding games like Disney Epic Mickey Rebrush, Kill It With Fire, Lego Marvel Superhero, Squirrel with a Gun, Subnautica 2. And they also talked about other games that will be coming soon, like Predator, Ground Hunter, Phantom Breaker, Battleground Ultimate, Starship Troopers, Extermination, and other stuff like that. They also have a full list and all. I think Baldur's Gate 3 might be part of that list. I'm not 100% sure though. They also talk about how players can now players can now play any game installed on their console by visiting Xbox.com Remote Play on any devices with a supported web browser. While access to Xbox Remote Play, players will no longer be available directly from the Xbox app on mobiles. Players will still be able to play from their mobile device browser. In addition to stream from the web, players will soon be able to access Xbox Remote Play on more devices, including support for Samsung Smart TV, Amazon Fire TV device, and MetaQuest headset. By unifying Xbox Remote Play and Xbox Cloud Gaming on Xbox.com, we're able to support more devices, open access to the store on the Xbox app mobile, and make it easier for our team to optimize the stream experience and build a new feature going forward. As a bonus, starting this month, backwards compatible games from the original Xbox and Xbox 360 will be streamable via Remote Play across all supporting devices though. So again, it is going to depend on the location where you are and how solid the internet connection is, but it certainly is nice that they're offering this feature, and the fact that they're now starting to look at backwards compatible games from the original Xbox and Xbox 360 that will be streamable via Remote Play though. That's certainly nice indeed if you have any of the original 360 or the original Xbox games, to be exact though. Obviously, we'll have to take a look to see what kind of games that will be available, but that certainly is a nice addition to add indeed. Another feature that I think is sort of neat is the free up space in My Games and Apps. According to this one, it says, with today's update, we are introducing a new and improved way to free up store spaces on all Xbox consoles. In addition to display unused add-ons and shrinkable games, we will now include recommendations for removing duplicate copies of games and games that players no longer have access to. To try out this feature by heading towards My Games and Apps, Manage, and free up spaces. So certainly, again, a nice addition indeed. And also, I mean, it's worth taking a look if you want to read some other stuff though, but still, this is not a bad update, to be exact though. To know that basically some of the stuff that they're adding into it is certainly good. I mean, I'm glad that they now offer the ability to stream your own games on the Xbox console though. I do like the fact that they are updating, the Xbox app to a certain degree, and the fact that they're now adding more games to the streaming, including some backwards compatible games though. So these are not bad updates at all. Granted though, the streaming thing, again, that's going to be depending on how solid your internet connection is. So you may have, depending on your internet connection, it may be good or bad though. Not every internet connection is perfect though. But I will say overall, this is not a bad update from Microsoft. I think this is certainly a very good update. Indeed though, there may be some things people like, some people may like, indeed. But I will say this is certainly not a, at least in my view, not a bad update at all though. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about this comment Ubisoft made during this lawsuit, saying basically coming off and saying that you do not own the games or anything like that? Do you think Ubisoft is right about one of their statements that the statement that they basically made, or do you think they're absolutely wrong and you view this as sort of like a shameless anti-consumer practice perspective though? What are your thoughts about what Matt Piscatella said about Assassin's Creed Shadow and seemed to be doing well and all? Do you agree with him and feel like this game is doing very well though? Do you think some of the controversy surrounding the game is ridiculous? Or do you think the game, or do you still believe the game probably did not do as well as people are claiming that it is? What are your thoughts about the Switch pre-orders now that we know will be out on April 24th and what we could expect from both accessories and the system as well? Are you pleased with this announcement though? Are you looking forward to pre-ordering the Switch and everything like that? Are you glad that the Switch systems and the game, the price is going to remain the same and everything for now though? Are you concerned or upset over the fact that the accessories are seeing a price increase and all? And what about this Xbox update? Do you think this is a very good update that Microsoft has put out though? Do you think it's an okay or a bad update in any way? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal me, Patreon, or Steam Labs. Links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this either on YouTube or Patreon. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!